Welcome to the Space in Between podcast, a series where we will talk about everything and anything mental performance in a bite-sized fashion.
I'm Sienna, and I'm here with Frida. We are both mental performance consultants from Ireland. That's me. And from Sweden.
That's me.
Frida. On this podcast, we will share our knowledge and passion for all things sport and performance psychology. This will include things on mindset, exercise, sport, and everyday life, because we can apply it to anything, and insights into how we help ourselves and others with developing their mindset. Today, we are going to talk about setting goals that work. Frida, what are your thoughts?
Think that the new year is typically a time where people might have New Year's resolutions, or we're thinking about things that we want to do or try. So it's a perfect opportunity to refine those goals that we want to work towards. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about more today.
Yeah. And obviously, we don't need a new year to set new goals, but it is that time of the year, like you said, where a lot of people will set those goals. So then getting into that, we're going to talk about how to set goals that work. But one thing that's important to know is what are some of the setbacks or maybe the places that people struggle when it comes to setting goals?
So there are different things that can be some obstacles. One of them being that sometimes we rely a little bit too much on motivation to get stuff done. And especially when we start something new, we might feel very motivated and we're excited about doing what we're about to do. And that's beautiful, right? We want that. We want that drive that's going to have us do the things that we do. However, the reality is that that's not always going to be there. Motivation is a feeling, it comes and goes. So when we are not feeling like waking up at 6 o'clock to go to the gym at 6:30, because that day will come, how are we going to deal with that? Because that can be one of those obstacles when that motivation maybe not is there as much.
Yeah, absolutely. Where the motivation can maybe dwindle is like a lot of goals that we set might be long term. So it can take a while to see progress and to achieve your goal. So the longer that takes, am I even going to achieve this goal? So
Yeah.
maybe your motivation can feel less in those cases. That's why like relying on motivation can be risky business.
And that kind of goes back to what I was saying too, that we might feel really motivated at the start. If we're looking at a goal that will take 6 months, or maybe even a year, and it could even be smaller than that, then when that first sweet spot is over and the motivation changes, that's when it can get difficult.
Yeah, and that's why something that I always think about and talk about with people I work with is motivation is great, but it's even more important to know why you want to achieve this and why you're committing to this.
Yeah.
Motivation will go up and down, but if you're committed to something, then you're going to do it even on the days when you don't want to do it or when you don't feel like it. So, in knowing the difference between those two things.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's very important, thinking about that reasoning as to why you want to do something.
And that can be one of the setbacks that we face when we tackle our goals. And that's kind of one of the other things where people go wrong is they don't plan for setbacks. They don't think about the fact that, okay, in 3 months, I won't be that motivated. So how will I stick with it? So by planning ahead and thinking about, okay, this is my goal. For example, maybe a lot of people say like, I want to be healthier or fitter this year. Okay, what are some of the challenges that I'm going to face on that journey? And we've already mentioned one, but what are some of the other ones? And there's many challenges that we can face in any of our goals.
Yeah, what people talk about too is having that all or nothing mindset. So I'm either all in on this process, or if something happens, then I'm out. And that can also be one of those problems. The reality is that there will be setbacks. There will be days where maybe you don't do what you wanted to do, and that's okay. That is a part of the process and working towards something that we want to do.
So I guess what we're saying with that is one of the most important things you can do when setting your goals and to set goals that work is to think about what are the potential challenges on this journey and how
Absolutely.
I'm going to overcome them. And we will talk about that a little bit more.
Another area where people might go wrong is that when we are setting our goals is that we're not specific enough. They are too broad. So you used an example of being healthy and fitter. What does that mean? What is healthy and fitter? That could mean so many different things. So we always encourage when we work with people, one, write them down. Two, let's make it specific and tangible so we can kind of grasp it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we just think by the end of this year I'll be fitter.
Yeah.
So like having more specific goals with that, like maybe it's to be able to do specific things, or for athletes, maybe you have a specific competition or a team in mind that you want to play on. Actually made me think of someone that I spoke to before Christmas, and they were saying that they want to make this team, like be a starter on the team. And
Mm.
I'm sure a lot of athletes have a similar goal to that. But then when we dug deeper, it was actually like, it's not necessarily about making the team. It's about, making myself proud that I've worked hard to get there, and showing my parents that the time they've put into this, like I have really been appreciative of that.
Yeah.
So like it was a lot deeper than I just want to play football or hurling for this team,
Hmm.
and that can drive you on those days when it is hard.
Absolutely. So, with that said, and those three things where people might go wrong, let's talk about how to set goals that actually work. And one of the first things that we want to talk about is the outcome.
Yeah. So setting the outcome goal. And that's kind of going off what we just said,
Yeah.
like having the vision of, and if we talk about, okay, new year. So by the end of the year, and you can think about this by the end of the season or by the end of this period of time that you set, what do I want to have achieved? And that can be like in your sport, in your profession, maybe in health, in your relationships, like it could be anything. A lot of what we will talk about is sport and exercise because
Yeah.
that's what we're into. But you can apply all these things to anything. And like Frida said, like making it as specific as you possibly can, because then that's going to give you something to strive towards.
Absolutely. And then when we think about the outcome goal, what's even more important, so at the end of the year, right? To get to that point, there's many months, many weeks, many days before we're there. You want to break down that goal.
Yeah.
So sometimes, and this could also be something that we do wrong, is that we have this goal, but we forget to break down the stepping stones and the little things that we can do every single day to get closer to that outcome.
Yeah. So if we think about a sporting example with that, like if it is to play on this team,
Mm.
or as an individual athlete, it might be like I play handball. So it might be like a specific competition. A handballer might say, okay, I want to win that. So then like breaking that down, what areas of my performance can I work on? And then breaking that down, what can I do this week, this month, today that's going to help me move towards that? So, like, if we want to get really specific with handball, it could be like, okay, this week I'm going to spend 20 minutes in the court. 3 days, so 3 separate days, I'll spend 20 minutes on my serve. Also, on those days, I will spend 20 minutes doing agility drills to work on my speed and movement in the court. Like making it, again, super specific to how am I going to achieve this outcome goal.
Yeah. And what you'll notice too when we're talking about these things, and you might have picked it up already, is that we focus on the process. So it's not necessarily about focusing on that outcome that we want all the time. The thing that will take you to where you want to go is the things that you do daily.
Mhm.
So we want to focus on the process of getting there.
Yeah. And the process are the things that you can control. So those are the things I can do every day. Like I know I can spend 20 minutes in the court practicing my serve, but I don't know that I'll win. So like when we focus on the outcome, like those things are often outside our control. So maybe we might not be certain if we'll make it. So if we think back on motivation, if we are not sure if we'll achieve something, maybe your motivation like dwindles a little bit. But if you focus on the things you can control every single day, then you'll feel very motivated because
Mhm.
you're thinking, okay, there's 5 things I can do today that's going to push me closer to my goal.
Yeah. And focusing on the process, like you said, we can't always control the outcome goal, especially the one you used here with handball. So then if we think about that, there's an X amount of sessions you'll do, and you're gonna spend a certain amount of time playing handball, improving your game because you want to reach that goal. Still, at the end of the day, you might not,
Yeah,
right? But then the question is, does that mean that you have failed completely?
obviously not.
And why?
I mean, the thing and I'm kind of like just sharing my own thoughts here, but like I think about setting goals and like going into for any athlete, I'm sure that the goal going into any competition or competitive environment is like to perform your best, and we all want to win, right? So me saying I want to win, I mean that's a given for like me going into any handball tournament. I want to win, so like I'm not focusing on that because, yeah, it's outside my control, and even if that doesn't happen, if I have followed the processes that I have set in place, then I haven't failed because I can say, "Well, I did everything I could to be in the best position possible for this event, and there's many things that are outside my control." Like, it doesn't mean that I haven't made progress, it just means, like, not today.
Yeah. So my follow-up question to that, what that I wanted to ask too, is when you think about change and like reaching an outcome goal, does the change happen when you reach your goals or during the process towards that goal?
Change happens the day you start working towards your goal. That's when you have made a decision that you're gonna change things. And then every day from then that you do something to take you closer to your goal, then you are, like, adapting as a person, and you're probably getting better. And on the day of that, like, potentially reaching your outcome goal, you know, if it's in sport, like, potentially getting that starting position or winning that competition, nothing is gonna change, like, you're still the athlete you were the day before that, regardless of the outcome. So I think remembering that can also make you see that even if I can't tick off my outcome, I have made so much progress on this journey. Okay, I have a question for you since you've been asking me questions.
Yeah.
So obviously it's important to have an outcome goal, but we've said that the most important thing is focusing on the process. So the things that you're doing every day, breaking it down. So then when would it be or when is it helpful to focus on the outcome? How can that be helpful?
On those days maybe where we don't want to do, maybe you don't want to go to the handball court
Mm.
for those 20 minutes or hour, whatever you're doing. And then remembering, well, one of the reasons why I'm going here is because I have that goal of winning, which means that I want to improve today. So something that we like to talk about is the 95-5% rule. And the reason why we talk about that is because we want to focus 95% of the time on the process and those daily things. And then 5% of the time we can look at the outcome. And kind of like what we talked about before, that's something that can motivate us. That can also be why we think about our why, all of those things that lead together. As you can tell, most of the time, 95, think about the process and the daily things, and then 5% of the time, look at the outcome.
Yeah, I was just thinking if there's any handballers listening to this, they know my secret.
They
No,
do.
I'm joking.
So we have talked about where people go wrong with setting goals, and we have talked a little bit about how to set goals that work. So just one last question. Why would we set goals? What's helpful with goal setting?
Well, there's many things that comes to mind, but I think one of the main things and one of the main reasons that setting goals is helpful and important is that it gives us direction and it can guide us to making progress. And like we said, it's not within our control that we will achieve our goal, but by setting the goal, even if you know there's a chance I won't achieve it, it can help you move a little closer to where you want to be each day. So it can help you set up the processes to make conscious decisions with your actions that are going to help you improve or help you learn more or help you develop whatever it is you're trying to develop. And that's like when I think about setting goals, that's one of the main things. It's kind of like a map from where I am now to going in the direction of where I want to be, even if you're slightly uncertain in a year, like what that destination will be.
Yeah. And destination isn't linear, right? But if we still have that something that we are striving for towards, we can be adaptable and keep following that map, regardless of which roadblocks might come up.
Absolutely.
So, kind of wrapping up this episode today,
goal that we both have is to have this podcast reach 1 million subscribers. So
Oh my god.
I
That's
didn't
it.
give a time frame. So that said, thank you for listening, and we hope that you'll keep joining us for these informative, helpful chats.
Be one of the first of the million there and give us a follow
Yeah.
and share with your friends.
And remember to keep using the space in between.
Yeah.